I guess in the past weeks since your professional experience, we have looked at the qualities, strategies used by with it teachers and what an ideal learning environment looks like, sounds like, and feels like. We've unpacked your professional experience critically. We've analysed many aspects that are going to be very helpful to you in terms of developing your personal teaching statement. So you really need to start now about thinking about how you're going to put all of these things together to develop this statement. So although you don't need to have this particular statement completed as part of the assessment of this unit, you do need to start to harness your ideas in this workshop in preparation for your QTPA, which is directly linked to your final professional experience. So in this particular workshop, we're going to be looking at the essential components of your personal teaching statement, how to link to the 3 professional domains of the professional teaching standards, structuring of your teaching statement, some tips on how to get started, how to start thinking about reflection, and also some questions to inspire reflection as well. So as discussed previously, your QTPA is linked to your final placement, and it will involve a written assessment and also an interview with a panel here at QUT. So on the slide is a link to the QCT website outlining exactly what the QTPA involves. So access the link and you can find out the specific details. So as I said, as part of your QTPA, there is a written assessment as well as the interview, and you're going to have to develop and talk about your 600 to 800 word teaching statement. So today in this workshop, I'm going to guide you through how you can actually start doing this, how you can start thinking about it. So a personal teaching statement it's a succinct, truly representative outlining of your personal attitudes, your values, and your beliefs about how you want to teach and how you actually believe students best learn. So it explicitly outlines your knowledge and your understanding of teaching, and it will provide evidence of how you have enacted this knowledge and understanding in your professional experiences. It's going to be based on what you've learnt at university and then observed and put into practice during your professional experience, and then, as we've been doing, reflecting on that critically. So you would have learnt from your professional experience what went well and what didn't go well, and the kind of teacher that you think you might want to be. You may also draw upon your own experiences of teaching and learning, and that could be either a parent or as a student yourself as well. So all of these things are going to influence what your teaching philosophy or statement will be all about. So the teaching standards, as we said before, they inform the development of your self-reflection and your self-assessment, and therefore your professional learning goals. They provide a framework to judge the success of your teaching practice. So your professional teaching statement, it will therefore need to make explicit links to these 3 domains of teaching. So I suggest that you use the standards as a guide and ensure that you focus on each of the standards in some way. So you don't need to cover every focus within each standard, but definitely relate directly to those ones that are connected to your personal beliefs about practice. So how might you link these teaching domains to your teaching practice? Let's first look at professional knowledge, standard 1. So teachers draw on a body of professional knowledge and research to respond to the needs of their students within their educational context. So this first point, for example, you could link this to your commitment to ongoing teaching, to ongoing learning, and keeping up to date with recent research and also understandings. So you might also do this through membership in professional organisations and critical reflection with your colleagues. You will also do this through a commitment to ongoing professional development and your personal reading as well. So the second point, teachers know their students well, including their diverse linguistic, cultural and religious backgrounds. So this second focus is one that would involve close communication and collaboration with parents and carers, with the community. For example, if you're working in Indigenous communities, close contact with the elders and a very good understanding of the culture and an awareness of individual families and individual students. You would also have to think about how you recognise each student as an individual with circumstances which will affect their learning and their well-being. So the third point, know how the experiences that students bring to their classroom affect their continued learning. So this would involve a commitment to tailoring your planning to the needs of individual students and to the specific learning context. So the fourth, a commitment, I guess, to tailoring your planning to the needs of individual students. They know how to structure their lessons to meet the physical, social and intellectual development and characteristics of their students. So it's important that you break down and reflect on these in terms of your own beliefs and practices and what these actually mean to you. So it needs to be a personal reflection about a particular standard. So looking at standard 2, we're looking at professional knowledge. So that involves a commitment to developing your expertise in the field. So working closely with colleagues and implementing appropriate lessons. So I guess it's beyond just working with colleagues. It is the school community and beyond as well. So it's a commitment to that collaborative practice. So I'd like you to have a look, read through each of those, but as an exercise in your journal, I would like you to look at point 5 and see how you could link this to a belief or a commitment to teaching and learning. So point 5, they are also able to use information and communication technology to contextualize and expand their students' modes and breadths of learning. So I guess a commitment to the use of varied modes of learning to maintain students' interests and cater for individual students. You could talk about a commitment to ensuring students are skilled in 21st century learning and technology, a commitment to personal ongoing upskilling or of current knowledge and expertise in the use of 21st century technology. So have a look at point 5, and I'd like you to actually jot down in your journal some links to a belief or commitment that you could personally bring to your teaching in this standard. So teachers have a repertoire of effective teaching strategies and use them to implement well-designed teaching programs and lessons. So this first point might involve a focus on effective quality practice, on being confident in your physical presence, your control, your use of graduated actions, and ability to participate concerns. So how you would be proactive in your engagement. So again, I would like you to go through standard 4 and standard 5, and in your journal I want you to pull apart each particular one, relate it back to what you did during professional practice, and also to some of the reflection that we did in class. Pull out what we were discussing and what you thought about during your professional experience. So this is something that you'll be thinking about now when you'll be moving on to your second placement. And again, you will be reflecting critically about that and expanding on this professional statement. But this is where you first start. This is your first point of contact with your professional statement. So professional engagement, your final teaching domain, all of these points should be central to your statement. They support other standards in some way. So again, in your journals, I want you to pick out some points that are really significant, that relate to you, that you most strongly relate to, and turn it into a belief or a commitment. Then give an example of how you might actually enact that in your professional practice. So your sentence would probably start with something like, I believe, or I am committed to, or possibly I advocate for. So you would do that for standard 6 and for standard 7. Okay, so moving on to what your teaching statement will actually look like. So unlike other kinds of writing, an educational statement, they're written in the first person because they're personal reflections. In general, it would be about 600 to 800 words in length. And a good educational statement would have an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. So you need to use your words wisely and plan each paragraph with supporting examples from your professional experience. So your final one, obviously, you will use examples of the entirety of your placements. So all placements that you've been involved in. So the introduction, this should be your thesis statement where you discuss your general beliefs about education as well as your ideals in relation to teaching and to learning. Your body paragraphs, they need to include clear unpacking of your beliefs, so down into paragraphs, making them more specific. So providing examples, providing strategies and explanations from your professional experience and the 3 domains of teaching. So how would you put these beliefs into practice? This would also identify and clearly outline your personal approach to pedagogy and classroom management, so a positive learning environment. You would also need to include your goals as a teacher. So this would be in 3 main parts. What were your main goals? How you have been able to meet them during your professional experience? And how you could build on these to meet future teaching challenges. So this would be very important as part of your commitment to ongoing learning. So finally, your conclusion, summing up what makes you unique as an educator and how you wish to advance your career to further support and advocate quality teaching and learning. So advocate is a really excellent word to use in your conclusion. All right, so on the next few slides, I have got some guiding questions, I like to call them, to help you get started with your reflections about your beliefs. They go over 2 slides, so there's quite a few of them. So some of them we've already looked at during our workshops, but I really want you to think about them in terms of your actual structure and what your personal teaching statement is going to look like. So, and finally, I have a checklist here. So with some questions to ask yourself to make sure that you're actually on the right track. So I want you to start thinking about your statement now while your professional experience is still fresh in your mind. So start now and, you know, reflect on some of the questions that I've posed here, and moving into your next placement and your final placement, you will need to think about these questions again and adapt your professional statement, your personal statement, as you move through your course. Okay, good luck, and yes, happy reflecting.